Hello everybody and welcome back to the Modern Green Bay and Western. My name is Gabe. Today we're back at the workbench working on another project for the layout, another freight car project. The last video I did was on relettering an Atlas Masterclass covered hopper. And that is this one right here. As you can see, I relettered it for the Annepian Western and renumbered it for that. But I mentioned that we were just relettering and not patching. So today, we're going to be talking about patching this car out for the Green Bay and Western. This car is not nearly as nice as that Atlas Masterclass one. As you can see, I got it for about 16 bucks from Hiawatha Hobbies, maybe a couple years ago. But it's an Atlas and Trainman. I wanted a Milwaukee Road car, and that's what this was lettered for, was MILW. And as you can see, when I took the lettering off, I was not as careful or as experienced as I am today. So what we're going to do is a patch over that, and we're going to make this a Green Bay and Western patched out car. And we're going to heavily weather it and see if we can kind of make it into something a little better than just your regular Atlas Trainman covered hopper. Some of the things that are not good about this car is it's got plastic wheels. It also has wheel set mounted couplers, which is what it is. So we're going to change out those wheel sets for metal ones, hopefully. You can tell the detail on the bottom side here is not very good. The hatches on the bottom are just squares. They don't have any of the other detail. This is not see-through up here on the walkways. These do not open by any means, which whatever, that's not really a big deal, but some people that is. And then the grab irons and stuff you're all molded on. Brake wheel is not though, so actually okay detail there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a freight car look weathered, patched out, and then weathered over that. I kind of give it some history. So we're gonna make this thing look pretty dirty, pretty grimy, patch it out, and then make it just a little bit more grimy. So let's get to work on that. So like I talked about with that Annepian Western car I showed just a little bit earlier, I re-lettered that one so that it'll look like a car that came out of the paint shop that way. Brand new Annepian Western lettering. Now, patches are done when railroads buy freight cars from other railroads or other leasing companies. So this one is another red and white one. This is my other Atlas Trainman one. And as you can see, there's this gray patch here, and it's just stenciled over SSAM, which is a subsidiary of the Canadian National. It's just painted over because why paint the entire freight car? That's expensive. It's old. Just paint over the reporting marks and reletter it for your railroad. And that's what I did with this one. This one is for the M&IR, or the Michigan, Indiana, Northern Railroad. I painted this one and lettered it. As you can tell, it's not super great, but this was for a railroad that I used to model. It was a freelance railroad. Yeah, so former Chicago Northwestern car turned into an M-I-N-R car. So there's that. So back to the project. I've taken the trucks off, and I've sprayed this with dull coat. Before you weather anything with chalks, give it a spray of dull coat. It gives something for the chalks to go onto. For this project, we're going to use a little bit of decal film. This actually happens to be some stuff left over from I think this used to be from a Star Wars snow speeder I built a long time ago, and it's just been sitting around. But we'll cut it out and put it over there where the reporting marks should go. I'm not going to do that right away. We're going to weather first, do a layer or two of weathering to make it look old, and then we're going to do the decaling and the lettering, numbering, and then we're going to weather it again to give it a little bit of history and whatnot. Also, we're probably going to do some graffiti, and I think my patch will probably go over a piece of graffiti or two too. So let's start with weathering this with some chalks and some paint. I think what I'm going to do is a little bit of dry brushing of brown around the posts here to kind of give it a little bit more of a rusty look once I put the chalks on. So we'll work on that next. So though predominantly we're going to be weathering this with chalks. It's over. we are going to do a little bit of dry brushing around the tops of these posts here to kind of start off a rust. Some brown. And they tend to kind of look like this, and this will give something for the chocks to kind of adhere to. So there's the start to the rust. It's just a dry brushing base, so by no means meant to be kind of a finished thing, but that's kind of where we're starting, and then we're going to put chalks and stuff over it so that it starts looking a lot more rusty and old and dirty. But that's the next step is chalks. Let's let this dry a bit, and then we'll start brushing chalks on. We're going to be using medium rust weathering powder from Monroe Models to start our first layer off. A little bit of this goes a long way, I found. But we also want this to be pretty rusty, so we're going to do a layer of that. Start on the top, down the center, and then start going this way because that's how water will run off. Said I want this to look pretty rusty. Red car like this, it's going to take a lot more to make it look rusty over here than it will on the rest of it, where it's white. So I'm going to go spray this with dull coat outside, let it dry. We're going to do a few more layers. I've done an entire video on weathering with chalk, so I'm not going to belabor this point. So here's how the car looks after 2 coats of the rust-colored chalk, and it's been sealed in by the dull coat. I used a little bit extra brown on the rust spots up there to keep some of the chalk on there, kind of give it a little more 3D effect. Next step is decaling. So I have 2 sets of decals here. One is Blair Line laser cut graffiti decals, which I have yet to open up. Then I got these other ones from Microcell. These are Trainman street graffiti. I plan on graffitiing this up pretty good because it's been a long time since I've really heavily weathered a freight car, and I'm kind of actually having fun just going bananas on it because it is going to be a totally freelance car. So again, I've showed you how to put these on, so I'm not going to go into great detail. But if you want to see that, there'll be a link to the video in the end screen. So let's get to work on that. So here is all the graffiti that I'm going to put on it. One thing to note, though, I will say, is that I like the Blair Line graffiti better. So that's these. They're a little more muted colors, and they also seem to work a lot better getting snugged in around all the posts and stuff. The micro scale stuff still looks good and is good representation of graffiti. But it's just a lot brighter and also doesn't seem to snug in as well. So that's my 2 cents. Still both good products. So I think what I'm going to do is give this a coat of black for dirt and then we are going to actually work on patching it out. Quick look at the car before we start patching. This is after the dull coat. That graffiti's looking a lot better, so pretty excited about that. Now time to patch it out. So I'm cutting out this piece of red here. It's a plain red decal film, essentially, which you can actually pick up. Good news here is we don't have to be super precise because patches aren't always super precise. So that is going to mark it. There's one part of my patch. So there you go. This is my second part of the patch. These are just supposed to look like it was painted over, and I think that's going to work. So time to adhere those. Well, this piece fell off its backing when I got it out, but it'll still work, so not the end of the world. Put it right over this. And here's the second one. So the cool thing about the way I did this, with it going over the graffiti and the everything else being weathered more underneath it, and then the graffiti being weathered, it gives it some history, some realism, just like everything else. Everything's just a bit dirtier when it's a bit older, and this is probably the newest piece of paint on the entire freight car. So there we go, and then that is going to be the patch that we're going to put the letters on. I just have to give it a little bit of Solvaset and let it dry on there, and then we can do the other side, and then we can letter it up for the GB and W. So on to the next side. I got this cut out so far. I think this is probably the more correct size when it comes to height, but I'm not too worried about the other side. You're never going to notice, and the graffiti covers most of the data anyways, so score that quick, give it a little trim, make sure she fits in there. Oh, perfect. And we're going to do the same thing with this piece. Give it a little score there. And the red, I think, works well in the sense that maybe they just use a color they got laying around, and with it being a lot of red locomotives on the GB and W, that's what they're using. Alright, there we go. Just got to adhere it now. Quick view of why I like having a continuous run on my layout. Look at that. I've just been working on a project, and I just got the trains going. Also, for some reason, I've never been a caboose guy because I've never modeled cabooses or era that had cabooses, but I really love this caboose. Alright, back to the project. Just gonna put a little extra water on there for the time being. There we go. That's helping it sit better. Ah. Okay, that one is fighting me for whatever reason. Okay, a little Solvaset. And that's how you patch it. Next, the project really becomes lettering. Just like the car from the last video, we just got to put lettering on there and then give it a spray of dull coat. So I decided, and this is based off of my roster that I have came up with and showed you in the last video. This is going to be GB and W 105398. The 105,000 series are all just patched out cars, so I can put them on whatever I want, and that's what it's going to be. No special meaning in the numbers or anything like that, but just they seemed like they would work well. So there we go, GB and W 10398. Gonna let that dry, and then we can start putting numbers and letters on that. And here is our finished project for this video. We're back over here on the layout. I got it all assembled again. Just some quick notes about what I did. I dry brushed the couplers, put on the metal intermountain wheels, and also I cut those coupler hoses, as I always do. They just help make things run better. They don't. And here's both sides of the freight car. I think those micro scale decals turned out pretty good. They are no longer super bright after the couple coats of dull coat, which honestly at this point this Trainman car is mostly dull coat. But it really works, helps keep everything in here. One thing to notice is on this side I ended up having to do a little smaller numbers than the letters. That just happens, you know, best laid plans. And on this side I actually had enough room, so need to plan a little better next time I cut my decal film. So it's been a while since I've really heavily weathered a freight car and kind of just gone nuts on it, making it look as old and as dingy and junky as possible. And I gotta say I had a lot of fun doing this project. Just kind of fun to go out there, go nuts, and see what you can make and see how dirty you can make it look. So that part of this project was a lot of fun. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, liking, subscribing. Hang out, watch a few more videos. If not, thank you for watching just this single one. Everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.